Where did your love of photography come from? Because I know this has been a bit of a difficult one for you, hasn't it?
It's hard. It's really hard to say because I've always enjoyed carrying a camera around with me, and I was always the dedicated photographer for friendly get-togethers and things. But I suppose my real love for it started about 2 years ago when I got my camera Aspen, and I got her for Christmas, and I started a project which lasted for a year, and that's really how I became so interested.
Now, interesting, because I popped up this afternoon to have a look at the exhibition.
Oh.
And I was quite stunned with it, I have to say.
Oh, thank you very much.
But it's interesting because there's another thing that you seem to quote on sites that you're on, quoting the American poet. Was it Muriel Rukeyser?
Yes, her quote about the world is not made of atoms but of stories.
Right. Looking at your pictures, you see yourself almost as a storyteller rather than...
I think I do. I mean, I'm a lit student, so I have really always loved books and telling stories, and I think photography is just an extension of that, really. A lot of people say, oh, what sort of photography are you into? And in terms of my personal work, I always tell them narrative, because I like to take a picture which is almost a snapshot from a wider story that you would look at and think, what came before that and what would come after? And look at the different elements in the picture and think about those ideas. And that means that the picture can be read 1,000 different ways, because everyone who comes to it and looks at it will interpret it differently and make up a different story for it.
Now, tell us about some of the projects that you've been involved with.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose I've done several now. The first and the biggest was the 52-week project, which was... self-portraiture project which ran for a year. I had to take a self-portrait every week for 52 weeks, which was quite a struggle at times, definitely, but the finished product, when I put it all into a book and looked at them all as a set, not just as individual pictures, I was quite surprised the way that the pictures changed, for one thing, and the way I started thinking about the pictures each week. Symbolism, things started to come into it much more. And then my inspirations from other photographers as well, I tried to put that into some of the pictures later on. Yeah, that was definitely the biggest one. Last year, over summer, I did a project with a friend I met on Flickr called the 100 Days of Summer Project, which I kind of made up myself, where I took a photograph every single day for 100 days over the summer, from June through to middle of September. And that was very different from the 52 weeks because it wasn't self-portraiture. I decided at the very beginning that wasn't where I wanted to go with it. All I wanted to do was kind of document the summer in terms of memories and my friends and the things that I did. And of course, what it meant was there were days when it was really hard because I'd be very busy and perhaps forget my camera, or even I just sit around all day, as you do in the summer holidays. You sit and browse the internet and watch a couple of films and don't really do very much. And it would get to 11 o'clock at night and I think, oh my goodness, I've got an hour and I need to take a photograph and it needs to be good. And that was a struggle because it made me have to think very quickly and very creatively.
Did you find that sort of having to force yourself to take sort of photos like that, did your actual technique of photography improve in that time? Would you say?
I would say it did. Up until that point, I'd been doing specifically really narrative portraiture. And at the point when I was starting to take pictures of anything other than humans, I found, I've never done this before. I've never done, for example, cookery, taking pictures of cakes and the things that I baked during the day. And there was a different technique to that, absolutely. You need to use different apertures, you need different lenses, all that kind of thing. And it forced me to kind of think about photography in other ways than just photography of people.
Is that like this exhibition at the Dragonfly? This is your first exhibition?
Yes, it is my first solo exhibition. I've been at the Dragonfly before. I was there as part of the summer exhibition last year, and I had a kind of a wall to myself, which was lovely, and that was when Susan offered me this exhibition this year. And
just remind us, how long is it on till?
It's on until the 30th, which is Saturday, and it'll be lovely to see people there. I'll try and pop in again before the week's out.
Brilliant. I think we want some signed copies. So it's on till, was it 10 till 4, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, 10 till 4 weekdays, 10 till 1 on Saturday.
On Saturday.